What is God's will? What does God allow? The basics of Christianity, part 11. Now, this is a big debate that has been all through Christianity for, hundreds, thousands of years about whether or not God allows things, whether it's up to you, who's responsible. Okay. I think it's very clear from the Bible as a whole. I know there's verses people pluck out, but I believe if you look at the Bible as a whole, for me, it's very clear that God gives us a choice. We have our own will where we can decide, are we going to go with God or not go with God? That's basically the big choice that has to be made. And I think that's a moral choice, is to give people freedom. I think that's a virtue to give people freedom. And it's weird, the same people that will tout freedom of choice and all that sort of thing, out in government, and we need to be free and all of that stuff, democracy. When it comes to God, they don't think we need to be free. They have this picture that I believe comes from Greek philosophy that has came into the church over, the last 1,500 or so years of, it's like fate. It's like they kind of replaced fate with God, and like, who knows? We don't know what the plans are, but God allowed this, God allowed that. There's this idea that God's up there playing chess. It's just like a little game. Somebody gets killed in a car wreck. Somebody else gets some terrible disease. Who knows? We'll all know one day, right? I just don't believe biblically that's in the Bible. What goes hand in hand with that is God's will. What does he want? Okay, 2 Peter 3:9, we see he does not want anyone to be destroyed. Different versions translate that word differently, but I like that one. His desire, his will is not for anyone to be destroyed. And we know that we don't see that happen, right? So, but anyway, we know, what does God want? He wants us to have life. Now, Jesus is the exact representation of God. He is representing Father God in a way that you can say, hey, Jesus is only doing what the Father would do. Okay, he's perfect. As one pastor has said, he's perfect theology. Jesus, what did he do? He's the exact likeness of God's being. So who's responsible for stealing, killing, destroying? That's the thief. Okay, contrast that with Jesus. I came so that they may have life, and life overflowing. So what is of life? That's what Jesus is about. That's what the Father is about. It's not just going to heaven one day. It's life, and life overflowing, not being sick. Now, this comes up a lot when we're talking about people having different diseases, people getting healed or not getting healed. Okay, what did Jesus, who was the exact representation of the Father, do? He went healing all of what? Those who were overpowered by the devil. So again, who's behind sickness and disease? The devil. Who comes to heal that? Jesus Christ. Now, most of this series is concerning the New Testament for the new believer. What are the basics? But here's when we can go back even to the Old Testament and see that God puts this choice of life and death before people. Then he even says, hey, pointer, a tip here, choose life, then you and your children will live. That's up to you to choose that. So I know that leads to other questions. Well, why wasn't so-and-so healed? And we'll get into all of that. But right now for this, we're saying a lot of these decisions are up to you. They're what you do. God's will for you is life, and life more abundantly. We don't see Jesus going out handing out sickness like, hey, Jesus, God bless you. And he's like, oh, you could use some measles. That would really help you. You don't see that. You don't see that representation of the Father. All through the Bible, you see sickness, disease, all of that connected with evil, with demons and things like that. That's where that's from. Okay, it's from the devil. It's not from God. Okay, and don't go extreme. I'm not saying just because you got a runny nose that you're possessed by a demon. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the Bible gives us a choice. We see where life is, and we see where death is. All right, there's not some kind of middle ground where God is doing these things to you that are from the devil. Just think about this. Has it ever, if you're a parent and you have children, have you ever thought about, well, you know what, my kid could use a good old fashioned, pneumonia for a couple of weeks. That would be really good. That would teach him a lesson. So I'm going to go find somebody that's real sick, get all their germs and just give it to them. I mean, That's crazy, right? Or, hey, I think I'll just break an arm or something. That's wild. That's insane, okay? God doesn't do that either, okay? Trust me, he's the teacher. He's got better methods than those sorts of things, all right? But again, the point of this video, we have a choice to make. God gives us that choice. He doesn't control us like a little video game up in heaven, okay? God bless you.